Thank you, Bruno, for joining in. Thank you, Grace, for joining in from Houston. That's wonderful. If you just tune in here again, my name is Funton Daniel. I will be broadcast live here from the great state of Texas, here in the United States. And if you just join in, if you have an opportunity, just briefly indicate as one of our sisters. Just indicate from Houston, Texas, and that's wonderful. So I will be broadcast live here from the great state of Texas here in the United States, and I will be speaking about the issues affecting our fellow our nations, and it is imperative that we take this as a matter of urgency. And I'm so proud of you because we are determined despite the difficulty that we have. But because we are united, we have a strong and dynamic relationship. And so I want to take just give me a moment. Sorry. So I will be broadcast live on my Facebook and on my YouTube. So in my YouTube, you should be able to watch me in case you have difficulty getting me on my Facebook. And if you have difficulty getting on my YouTube. So if you are watching or you want to get onto my YouTube and you're going to type Transparency Media International. Transparency Media International. That is the name you will find on my YouTube. So I am also live on my YouTube and on my Facebook. And thank you, Sandra, for joining in. Thank you, Jerry, for joining in. Thank you, Harry Stone, for joining in. And I want to take a moment to thank all of you that are tuning in. There's a lot of things that we will be talking about, and I want to take a moment to thank you. But one thing I want to talk more specifically to the Dallas community. I want to let you understand that the acting president of the Federal Republic of Ambazonian, Dr. Samuel Sako, is making an emergency meeting tonight here in the Dallas, Denton, and Fort Worth community. So if you have a brief time, you can get in contact with any of our leadership team. They will direct you where the location is. So once again, the acting president of the Federal Republic of Ambazonian, Mr. Dr. Samuel Sako, will be making an emergency stopover here in the Dallas, Denton, and Fort Worth community. And so if you happen to have an opportunity to see him and have one-on-one questions, although it's a very brief stopover, but however, I just let the Dallas community be aware. If you have time and you happen to stop over, thank you. And thank you, Jerry, for joining in, and thank all of you for sharing. And here again is Funton Daniel speaking live here from the great state of Texas, here in the United States. Thank you, Roberto King. Thank you, Wayne, for joining in. Thank you, Stone Comrade. Thank you, guys, for tuning in this morning, and it's gonna be a fantastic day. And fellow brothers and sisters that happen to be. Thank you, Walker, for joining in. So, so how is your day? I mean, wherever you are, if you're here in the United States, briefly indicate below where you are. If you are in South America, if you are in Russia, thank you, Mr. Diodene, for tuning in. If you are in Europe, whatever in Europe, if you are in South Asia, if you are in Baghdad, if you are in South Korea, or you are in China, wherever you are, I want to take a moment to thank all of you for tuning in this morning. Here again, my name is Fonton Daniel. I will be broadcast live from my Facebook, my YouTube. So on my YouTube, you're going to Google Media, Transparency Media International. That will be my YouTube, and that you will find me live, and you should be able to watch me. So today, there are a series of things that I will be talking about. First of all, I want to take a moment to thank this great nation, the United States. United States is the most wonderful country, whether you agree with my assessment or not. United States is the most wonderful nation on earth. The United States, what makes these nations the most fundamental, the word doesn't flow, the most wonderful nation on earth? It's not because of any other thing. It's because of the Constitution that makes these nations the most admired on earth. It is not because who is and who is. It is about the Constitution in which every individual respected. And because of the Constitution and the rule of law, and that many nations hasn't embraced it. We have evil dictatorship across the world, and they're being brutalized with complicity with certain leadership within the high level within the world. But however, the most fundamental differences between those nations and the United States is the rule of law that is highly respected here in the United States. And I can be proud, you know, and when I speak of the Federal Republic of Ambazonian, the people of Ambazonian, I see people that are going to embrace these fundamental principles. They see people of Ambazonia as a nation that is going to be bound by law, and that the people shall stand by it and ensure that a total participation of all citizens. But while I'm speaking here, we have, for the past 56 years, because democracy in West Africa was most advanced in the Federal Republic of Ambazonian. You all know the military regime of Nigeria under military coup d'etat. The people of Ambazonia has never experienced military coup d'etat. Our people believe in the rule of law. With the transition of an elected officials, Dr. Endele, and after Dr. Endele, we have Jongu Foncha. And after Jongu Foncha, we have Ngumjua. They were not taken over by a military coup d'etat. It was a simple and elected officials, and power was transferred. We are not a colony. We are not a secessionist. There is this stupid La République. There is this stupid La République, especially the Francophones. They are mentally challenged. But when I see people distort factual information for their own self-interest, you know, that is why you see all those who practice, especially the French oligarchy, oligarchy, they deviate from factual information and they don't want to administer and accept the truth. I want to clarify because they continue to use the word secessionist. There is a clear difference between secessionists, and it is better you go to all the advanced dictionary and identify what is a secessionist, and our people doesn't fall on that category. La République independent nations is defined by the document tabled at the United Nations. There are nations that have their independence without a colonial territory, without a colonial master. There are nations that got their independence without a colonial masters. And in those, there are few of them in Africa. So they have their own original boundary that they become independent. There are nations that they got their independence because they once been a colonial territory. And when the United Nations mandate that those territories be prepared for immediate independence, France, one of the colonies, tabled a document at the United Nations. And in that document, the people of Ambazonian, the Federal Republic of Ambazonian, was not part of that territory. And so therefore, the fact that we choose to cohabit with La Republique doesn't give La Republique a legitimacy over the sovereignty of the people of Southern Cameroon, now the Federal Republic of Ambazonian. When the littoral province or the western province or the Grand North choose to leave La Republique, that is called a secessionist because they were originally part of La Republique prior to the 1960 independent declaration by the United Nations. And so the people of Southern Cameroon wasn't part of La Republique. And so when I keep on hearing this word people use and have problems understanding the meaning of word, and they have mentally problems. So the people of Ambazonia or the Southern Cameroon territory, when their document was tabled at the United Nations, La Republique wasn't part of the Southern Cameroon. There's this clear distinction. And so the people, the sons and daughters, have the legitimate right, irrespective of what, to ask the legitimacy of La Republique in the Southern Cameroon territory. Why people confuse between the Biafra and the people of Southern Cameroon? There is clear distinction between the people of Biafra. The people of Biafra in Nigeria, when Nigeria under the British administration tabled the Nigerian document to the United Nations for immediate independence, the people of Biafra was part of Nigeria. And so therefore they are originally part of Nigeria. And so that document defined the boundary within which the world community recognizing a sovereign nation from its territorial integrity. So if that doesn't mean that the people of Biafra cannot secede, and when the people of Biafra choose to leave Nigeria, that is called a secessionist. They are seceding because there is trouble within the administrative of the Nigerian authority by not giving them opportunity. And it is accepted within the United Nations Charter, recognizing the people of Biafra to secede from Nigeria, despite the fact that they were original part of Nigeria within the United Nations submitted document by the British administration. So if there is evidence, ample evidence, that there is a crime committed against the people of Biafra, then the United Nations has the opportunity to see and discuss whether is there any evidence that there is atrocity orchestrated by the Nigerians against the people of Biafra. So there is clear distinction between people of Biafra, the people of Ambazonia, and the terrorist government of La Republique. So the people of Ambazonia and the onset, they were a nation. They developed their own government. They have their own self-government. They have an elected executive officials. And they have ample arm of government. The fact that we choose La Republique to cohabiting doesn't give a legitimacy over the people of Southern Cameroon. And I repeat again, if the people of the littoral province, the people of the Western Province, the people of Grand North, the people of Eastern Province, if they choose to leave La Republic have every legitimacy to claim that they were part of La Republic. But when there is ample evidence that the littoral recognize that the central government is brutalized them, they have the right under the United Nations Charter to seek and revoke for self-determination. In this criteria, the people of Ambazonia does not fall within that category. We are a nation, that we have a self-government, that we have a minister, we have our first president, and Dr. Endele, Jongu Foncha, and Gumjua, they were all elected, and there was a transfer of power from one executive to the next. There was no civil war, there was no fighting, there was a respected harmony within the transition of power. So our people is not as secessionist as the stupid individual La Republic seems to think. Over the past period that we have been with La Republic, we have evaluated and the meaningful and the way we can be governed and live together. But unfortunately, we have come to the conclusion that La Republic is a terrorist government. They lack the fundamental basic of rule of law, undermine the beauty of a legitimate government. And because of this policy, we the people of Ambazonia choose a self-determination, that we cannot live with a people that has poor judgment, poor analytical reasoning, and understand the basic and fundamental value of rule of law, in which every individual participates in a simple and open government. We have theorized the factual under what basis we should be able to function together. But we have come to the conclusion that La Republic is not. Why the world community still remains silent as though nothing is happening? And this is factual because of the French government. French government thought that Africa is their grazing land, that they can just romance at any time. France believes Africa is their husbandry, where they can harvest for their own personal and selfish, egoistic, rather than the indigenous of the people. And so that is why Africa needs a total emancipation. Africa needs to deviate from the French original rule. Africa needs to think about Africa's self. When France goes to the poll to elect their president, they don't seek Africa for advice on who they should be elected. They do this within their harmony. But when it comes to in terms of Africa, France is the architect that decides how Africa should be governed. I think the world has to overcome this iniquity of the French policy towards African descent. If you look at from the English perspective point of view, British may want to intervene, but British allow each colony to determine, and that is why we are so proud, although there were some evidence that we find British liable for it, but we appreciate the British system for allowing a meaningful and democratic form of government to prevail in any area they happen to colonize. And if you look at the rest of the world, they all live in harmony. No one can be denied the fact that they were once been a British colony. But when you look at all the African countries or the world countries, no one appreciates the French policy, because French policy has been the worst in the entire global hemisphere. Our fellow brothers and sisters in the Ground Zero, we stand here with you together. We understand the pain and the suffering that you guys going through. No amount of money that we contribute will relieve the pain and suffering. But we believe that this suffering is an lasting suffering, that we, by joining together, working in collaboration and understanding each other, the people of Ambazonia in ground zero, it doesn't matter where they are. Whether you are living in the forest, whether you are living at your home, whether you are living in La Republique, whether you are already with La Republique military, this is what I have for you, that we are together. Our spirit as one people, one nation, inseparable. That we cannot, in any circumstances, associate ourselves with the terrorist government of this neighboring country, La Republique. I understand that sometimes you may have no food to eat while you're in the midst of the forest. Whatever you eat, the Spirit of the Lord will stand with you and ensure that whatever you eat, even if you are eating just a piece of grass, your strength will increase. Your energy will multiply. You will face the enemy, La Republique. Fellow brothers and sisters, I know that those in Ambazonia, we can do whatever it takes to prevent this terrorist government from brutalizing our people, our sons and our brothers. We will use whatever it takes. If it's the way of cutting the link between the terrorist government of La Republique and to be able to have a harmony and have your people live together, we will do so because it is the genuine, because we are not a colonial territory of La Republique. La Republique cannot use his military and jeopardize the fundamental value of our people. When our people were working together during the Enugu House of Assembly in Nigeria, when we choose to leave the Enugu House of Assembly in Nigeria, the Nigerian government did not declare war on our people. It was a harmony and bilateral relationship. They recognized us as a people. But we choose the terrorist government that we believe that maybe we had the perception that because of their population of La Republique, we will have a better relationship, a better open discussion. But unfortunately, we made a mistake. But that mistake doesn't change us what we have decided now. When our people led the Nigerian Enugu House of Assembly, it was a friendly and gentleman gesture. They recognized our wishes and they accept our wishes, and the people left Nigeria. But today we have evaluated our relationship with the terrorist government of La Republique. Instead of them come to the bargaining table, they choose war on behalf of our people. Give me a minute. Our people has enjoyed a self-government. Our people has enjoyed a liberty where there is a transfer power from one elected officials to the next. La Republique has not exhibited any significant change in leadership. La Republique has not in any circumstances. And if you have any evidence, you can quote. Since France prepared La Republique to an immediate independence in 1960, La Republique has not exhibited any meaningful and trusted relationship or transfer power from one elected officials to the next elected officials. Instead, they have one brutal dictatorship from Amadou Ahidjo under the control of the French anarchy, and to the next brutal, the current dictatorship. So imagine a total of 56 years, La Republique has only 2 presidents. Within 56 years, La Republique has 2 presidents. In an ample of 5 or 10 years of the Southern Cameroon Ambazonian rule, they have almost 3 presidents. They have 3 presidents within an ample of 10 years control of Amazonia. They have ample of 3 and the transfer of power. But in the total of 56 years, La Republic has 2 brutal dictatorships. And that they were never been elected or transfer power from one elected official to the next. Of course, and this moment, excuse me, that noise. From one brutal dictatorship to the next brutal dictatorship, in a total of 56 years, La Republic has not, in any circumstances, clarified. But today, this is La Republic. You're going to be watching this video with me. This is La Republic. This is La Republic training. This is La Republic training in preparation for the people of Ambazonia. That is why I am assuring our people that we have to stay and focus and face. We are at war, and the enemy are preparing. Our enemy are preparing, and so our people also are preparing. We are going to engage these terrorists in our territory. We have come to the moment that we will not, in any circumstances, allow La Republic to jeopardize our freedom. You can watch. This is La Republic in preparation, using all the As and the English words because they are all the francophones. So, fellow brothers, we are at war. While our enemy is preparing, we are also preparing for them. We are going to face them. So any link that establishes us with this terrorist government of La Republic, we are here to face the enemy. You can watch the environment in which they are carrying on their training. It's showing that they are participating to target our location. You can watch as I'm speaking. Fellow brothers, we are at war. Fellow brothers, I am making this statement that we are at war. We have to face the enemy. We have to eliminate our enemy. We have gone enough. The past 56 years of injustice with the most terrorist government on the planet. So we are ready. And so fellow brothers that has not been participating and they decide to ignore. But I can assure you that we now are at war. We are at war because the enemy are preparing. As they are preparing, we should also be preparing to face the enemy. Our territory is no longer negotiable. We have gone the past 56 years. We can't maintain the life of our people. Our people have been suffering because we engage with the terrorist government in this planet. But we have to change the game. We have to change the game. Fellow brothers and sisters, this is not a time to be romancing with La Republic. You are watching. That is, if you look at the environment in which they are carrying on their training is showing that they're going to be coming to our land because they know what it is. Because why do you think they're using that environment? Because they know they don't have no road network. And they know that they must be able to deal with this kind of hazard environment. Because for the past 56 years, we cannot benefit that there was a development that was executed in the Southern Cameroon, despite the fact that we have been living them with the past 56 years. Fellow brothers, we are at war. We are at war. It's time we strengthen our system. It's time we strengthen our energy. It's time we collaborate. It's time we look at everyone as part of this momentum. For those who have selfish interest, for their own self-interest, please Don't bring self-interest over the people of Southern Cameroon, because the people of Southern Cameroon is now at war, and they're going to face the enemy wherever they come in any angle. Why we may derail our bonding, when we derail our bonding, we allow the enemy to penetrate us. And guess who is the loser? We will be the loser if we don't concentrate and love and love for one another. It's time we look at the common problems. If we have a problem, we should discuss the problem within us. Instead of taking the problems to the public, then we are internally selling our own self, and then allow the enemy to infiltrate us, and the unity become prolonged. Our victory become prolonged. Our enemy take opportunity, because at this moment we are at war. Fellow United States, fellow citizens, our people has faced the past 56 years of the worst terrorist government, and our people has remained silent. But this time, fellow America, you may not be aware of what is going on in West Africa. Our people have been slaughtered each day, each night, while the world remains silent. Because France, the architect of control of African descent, has allowed terrorists and brutal. When people describe terrorists, I look at the French government as the promoter of African trouble. When you see people, children, they portray over the TV because they have no basic fundamental food to eat. It's because France is the architect that's promoting this terrorist organization, terrorist individual. But because the media censors what they choose to speak and not to speak the truth. And that is why they sponsor this brutal terrorists. Because the interest of France is more important than the interest of the indigenous people of Africa. Because many will remain silent. They don't want to speak the truth. Imagine France is blocking every discussion at the United Nations because it affects Africa. Because France is a veto power at the United Nations. And so France must ensure that no peace prevails in Africa. And they control every moment, every debate, every justice, every principle that initiated. But this time I think Nikki Haley is going to make a difference at the United Nations. Now that Nikki Haley is the leader of the United Nations Security Council, I think the United States can make a difference to the world. Today, maybe we see United Nations peacekeeping, United Nations vehicle being delivered in the terrorist government of La Republique. We are watching carefully. We are paying close attention. What is going to be happening? What is going to be happening? You are watching. That is La Republique. That is La Republique preparing to terrorize our people. Our people were never a colonial territory of La Republique. You can see how they describe Anglophone. That is an Anglophone. Listen. You see, they are making fun of an Anglophone that happened to be with them. The people of Ambazonian that happen to be with them. I can assure you that your life is limited. I have asked those serving that it needs to back up to the Southern Cameroon and let's face the enemy and build a lasting nation for the people of Anglophone that will stand for the interests of our people. So this is them making fun of the Anglophones that are currently serving in that terrorist government of La Republique. You can listen. The guy using the listen is an Anglophone. They're making fun of him. You can listen. You see, they are making fun of Southern Cameroon serving in La Republique. So I have told you that if you are currently serving in La Republic, it's time to back up, because this moment is the lasting moment for the people of the Southern Cameroon, that they must defend, they must defeat, they must use every means to get rid of La Republic in the Southern Cameroon territory. We have got enough of La Republic. This is not the moment that we need to be joking. You all watch. Mommy? Just hold on, Mom. Mommy? Mommy? Volume will disturb my. Okay. Fellow brothers and sisters, this is the United Nations convoy. This is the United Nations vehicle that has been deposited at La Republic. But I am bringing to you that this is the United Nations vehicle. We are monitoring it very closely. We are monitoring it very closely. Article 1608XV of the United Nations, 1961, voted at the United Nations, recognized our people as a nation. But yet, it has not been fully materialized. Article 1608XV of the United Nations Charter is a document. United States Constitution specifies what United States can do and cannot do, and that is respected. So United Nations must respect their own document that they enacted in 1961. Recognize our people does not deserve to even step to fight a war with a neighboring country, La Republic. Our people does not need to fight a war. Our people just retroactively written a document testified at the United Nations that our people, we don't need La Republic and that we want a self-rule. It is the obligation of the United Nations respect their own document of Article 1608XV and Part 76B of that United Nations, which granted and recognizing our people as a decent people. So we do not need to face La Republic and fight a war. We just need to let the United Nations understand, and they need to act upon it as a decent people of this continent. But unfortunately, we have made a roadblock within this United Nations. I will expect those to be happening in the communist China. But unfortunately, it's happening here in the United States. And that is why Nikki Haley, who is the current United Nations permanent representative of the United Nations Security Council, I expected her to act accordingly and respect the rule of the game. And recognize that our people decided unanimously to move on against the La Republic. And so we are respected that Nikki Haley, under her presidency of the Security Council, will respect the document in which they enacted, and doing so will prevent any catastrophic crisis. And for those who choose to ignore our warning, especially those who happen to be our brothers, that they choose the enemy against the fellow people because they think of their own self-interest, we shall in any circumstances inflict damage on those individuals. We are serious. If you take my message serious, then do act upon it. While we are speaking, that we do not in any circumstances want La Republic in our territory. That is a clear. And we are making this statement to the world community. Article 1608XV of the United Nations, recognizing our people as a decent nation. We do not ask United Nations to vote upon. We do not ask United Nations to table. We simply ask them to retroactively recognize their own document in which they voted in 1961. Retroactively recognize their own document they voted. And that we, the people, want the United Nations to retroactively recognize their own document they voted in 1961. That is all we need. And we believe that Nikki Haley, the current United Nations Secretary General, will respect the wish of the people and act upon it. We are at war. So I know some people that believe they have La Republic military, that they can defend them, especially those staunch CPDM, that they don't believe that something can happen. They believe, you know, the king, you remember the days of the revolution, those days of the revolutions, those days of the anarchy of Europe. They believe that their power came from God, and those anarchy, you can't convince them. They have a hypothetical belief that you can't convince them and they will not agree. And that is part of the Saudi citizens that are currently serving the terrorist government of La Republic against the wishes of the people of Southern Cameroon. Our people has defined what they want, and that is their independence. And so those individuals that choose La Republic over the people of Ambazonian, we shall face you squarely. Whether you think they're going to protect you, 99 days of protection, the one day that out of the 100 will be the day for the Ambazonian to decorate you and send you back to La Republic in different form. As I'm speaking, people believe that nothing's going to happen. They are above, just like the king of Europe believe. They believe that they are supreme, and that their power came from God, and that they see the military of the French regime, of the era of the European Empire. They believe that they are above the law, and that no one can in any circumstances. That is part of this current terrorist individuals that are siding with La Republic. They believe that they'll be protected. Hello, brothers and sisters. You care, you listen. You care, you pay attention. You care, you don't. But this is a moment that the people of Ambazonia has risen, and their nations will never in any circumstances be succumbed to any of La Republic. And so those individuals, we have asked you, denounce La Republic and leave. But if you choose that La Republic is your ultimate, then you become a wanted individual within our midst. We have been clear in our point. We do not let anyone intervene. We let you understand that this is the Southern Cameroon and this is the Federal Republic of Ambazonian. We have had our own government. We have had a government that is responsible. We have a government that has been able actively elected individual. But you have La Republique. Imagine within the past 66 years, you have two brutal dictatorships without any freedom of an election, freedom of press, repress every individual, and you have two single individuals, one for 25 years and another one for 36 years. And now he wanted to be run again to become 40 years. We, the people of Ambazonia, want a people that we choose to lead us, not the people that choose to lead us. Fellow citizens, fellow American citizens, you may not be aware. You may not be aware of the atrocity that is going on in Africa, because the true media often not speak the truth, because they cover those who be the aggressor. You imagine that the atrocity that is going on in Southern Cameroon territory. The French government, you know why I am very critical about the French government? It's not for any particular reason. I don't have any personal problem, but I have a problem because they are destabilizing African continent. France is destabilizing African continent for their own self-interest, their own mineral, because they see Africa as a mineral rather than as a people that they think they can debate. Can Africa go to France and do whatever it takes without being succumbed to their French draconic law? But Africa, because they have all their arsenal weapons that they can destroy every part, and allowed Africa to become their harvesting land. But we want France to discuss with us as an economic partner, not as a brutal, forceful, deciding what Africa needs. So Africa, it's time we need to change the dynamic culture. We need to inwardly respect our people. After having studied in other advanced world, what have you done? You have to look at how did the people begin? How did Europe, how did United States began? You look at those theories and they're all out there. You apply those theories and you began to see how the world changed. And it's changing because there is a change of leadership. And each leadership has its philosophy. And that philosophy is enacted and becomes the principle of that particular country. But France controls every aspect because of the mineral deposit that they are interested more than the indigenous people of Africa. But Nikki Haley, we are watching you, that now that you have the floor of the Security Council, we know that the United States is a decent people, decent society, respect the rule of law. Now that you are the hem of the United Nations, Nikki Haley, we are asking you, our people, Article 1608 of the United Nations Charter, in which you are heading the Security Council, recognize the people of Ambazonia as a decent society, a different people that have an obligation to their sovereign nation. We don't need La Republique to teach us what we should. We have exercised in the past a decent government where we elect our officials. We did this when we proved that we can govern ourselves. We were able to elect leadership and we are able to implement policy. We are able to draft our economic policy, and there was easy access to every citizen in that era. Why do we need La Republique? Absolutely, we don't need La Republique. So fellow brothers and sisters, I know you all, we are at war. Fellow brothers and sisters, the enemy is filtrating us. The enemy is trying to disengage us, that we should focus rather than against the enemy, but against one another. But I see unity. I see love. I see an effective people of Ambazonia stand as a one people, unify and stand in one philosophy and to defeat and destroy the enemy that is succumb to our upbringing, we believe in a value that human dignity is highly respected. And that is a value we cherish. We share this value not with the terrorist government. We share this fundamental value with the Western society. And we believe that the rule of law supersedes every aspect of our people. And so therefore, our people at ground zero, because if we are disorganized, it obviously affects our people's efficiency. Fellow brothers and sisters, we have enemy that has infiltrated us. Let's face the enemy, because the enemy is not us. The enemy is not us. And again, I said, as I just showed in that images, the United Nations has just dispatched their, we are watching. La Republique is obviously there monitoring to show how they are. But unfortunately, I am asking the United Nations convoy, that any United Nations convoy that is heading to Ambazonia, there should be no military of La Republique beside the United Nations convoy. Our people is here to determine that our sovereignty is non-negotiable. Our independence, we will not in any circumstances envy any United Nations representative that is being escorted by the terrorist government of La Republique in our land. We will secure, we will protect all United Nations that is stepping in our land. But when the United Nations invite the terrorist government of La Republique in our territory, then they become part of the enemy. Please, I am speaking here. I am sincere. United Nations, we welcome you. We understand the value. But when you carry your terrorist government of La Republique to secure you, then you become part of La Republique rather than the people whom you came to protect. Fellow United Nations, we believe that we respect the rule of the game. We believe in this value and we share this value. As you are heading Southern Cameroon, our people are ready to support everything that you happen to come to the Southern Cameroon of Ambazonia. But we will not in any circumstances welcome La Republique in our territory. La Republique should stay where they are, in their own territory. When the United Nations granted the independence of La Republique in 1960, Southern Cameroon was not part of the convoy. And so when the Southern Cameroon got their independence in 1961, La Republique was not part of the convoy. So if we were not part of the convoy in 1960 of La Republique, then La Republique shouldn't be part of the convoy of our people. And so therefore, we do not in any circumstances support any La Republique in our territory under the control of the United Nations. Please, we are sincere. We are sincere about this. We can protect the United Nations convoy in Southern Cameroon. We can provide security necessary for the United Nations convoy in Ambazonia. But we will not want to see La Republique penetrating into our territory. And so, fellow brothers and sisters, we are to protect the United Nations, but we will not want to find La Republique filtrating in the United Nations. United Nations must stand alone. United Nations must stand alone. I am speaking, asking the United Nations current chairman of the Security Council, Nikki Haley, do the right thing. Do the right thing. That is all we need from you. Do the right thing. Our people have got enough of La Republique. Do the right thing. Do the right thing. Do the right thing. Our people can be able to lead themselves. We don't need La Republique to tell us how we should be led. Fellow brothers and sisters, before I go into conclusion, I want to thank all of you that October is coming. It's the day that we will ample our nation celebration. We're celebrating the birth of the Southern Cameroon Ambazonian territory that the United Nations voted, and the effective day becomes October 1. So October 1 is at hand. October 1 is a very important day in the people of Ambazonia. October 1 is a day that the people of Ambazonia will celebrate their independence. We will celebrate it in dignity. We will celebrate it in love. We will celebrate it as one people that love their sovereignty. We are together wherever you are. If you are in the forest, if you are in a river, if you are wherever, even if you are in your sick bed and you are dying, we know that we are together in one spirit. If you are sick, we are together in one spirit. We know that you are having difficulty in the midst of that agony, in your sick bed, in the midst of the difficulty that you may not even have just a simple tablet that you can take to help you relieve on the suffering and pain. But however, our spirit is with you. We are working together so that together we can become one people, and we will have a government that is meaningful to our people. We will have a government that represents us. We have a government that we have the choice to decide to govern us. We have a government that has a unity. And we will have a government that represents the actual love of the people. We have exercised this, but we have in the past thinking that extending our handshake to a terrorist government has become the problematic to our people. And certain members within our people has chosen that. So if you see any means that you can break the cycle of the relationship with this terrorist government of La Republic, cut the link. If you see any means that attach the relationship with this La Republic, cut the link. And they have begun to cut the link. If you see, because once you break the link, they don't have access to destabilize and brutal our fellow brothers and sisters. You imagine the burnt hospital with people, live people. Recently, they burnt a hospital with 12 patients, including a pregnant woman. And I feel the pain. I feel the pain because I don't see La Republic in our territory, but I see the pain in which they are inflicted upon our people. And we find United Nations romancing with this terrorist organization, La Republic. They don't want to clarify because they don't want to hurt French government. But our people are rising. They are up to face the task. Please be smart. Know how you can plan and face the enemy. Those exposure that you do is not effective. It gives the enemy to take advantage of your location. So prepare and face the enemy in any circumstances. Prepare yourself because the enemy knows where you are. And so if you prepare, you will be more advantageous. One, you are in your home zone. The enemy travel from their own environment to your home to destabilize you. So we are together and we are working in accordance to free our people once and for all. Fellow brothers of Ambazonian origin. And I will conclude to let those in the Dallas community to be aware that the acting president of SACOS, Dr. SACOS, Samuel SACOS, will be in Dallas community this evening. So if you have time, maybe you will stop by and be able to support this endeavor. Our people must be free. I love you all.